Let me guess. You've told yourself this before. Once I make more money, I'll finally feel in control. Once I hit 70,000 a year instead of 45, once I get that promotion, once my business grows, once I save $50,000, then I'll relax. But right now, you check your bank app before buying groceries. You hesitate before transferring money to savings. You calculate how many days are left until payday. And even when your income increases, the stress somehow stays. Here's the thing. The biggest psychological shift in your financial life doesn't happen at 50,000 saved. It happens at the first 5,000. And if you've never crossed that number, or you crossed it and fell back below it, this is going to feel personal. My name is Donald, and I spend way too much time thinking about how money rewires the human brain. If you're someone who feels like you're working hard but never quite getting ahead financially, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. We've been trained to think in big milestones, 6 figures, 100,000 net worth, millionaire status, financial freedom. But here's what most people don't realize. The behavioral shift doesn't happen at the flashy milestones. It happens at the survival threshold. According to Federal Reserve data, nearly 4 out of 10 adults would struggle to cover a $400 emergency with cash. $400, not 4,000, 400. So imagine what happens psychologically when you move from I can't handle a $400 surprise to I can handle a $5,000 surprise. That's not just financial improvement. That's neurological relief. There's a concept in behavioral economics called scarcity mindset. When you're constantly worried about money, your brain operates differently. Research shows financial stress reduces cognitive bandwidth. In simple terms, when you're broke, you literally think worse. Your brain goes into survival mode. Can I afford this? What bill is due next? What if something goes wrong? Am I going to overdraft? That low-grade stress hijacks your decision-making. You avoid looking at accounts. You delay investing. You make emotional purchases. You procrastinate financial planning because your nervous system doesn't feel safe. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The first $5,000 flips a switch. It signals to your brain, I am not in immediate danger. And that changes everything. Let's use simple math. Imagine your monthly expenses are $2,500. Rent, $1,200. Utilities, $300. Food, $500. Transportation, $300. Other expenses, $200. Total, $2,500. If you have 0 saved, you're 1 paycheck away from chaos. If you have 500 saved, a flat tire wipes you out. If you have 1,200 saved, 1 missed paycheck creates panic. But at 5,000, you have roughly 2 months of breathing room. 2 months. That's the difference between I hope nothing goes wrong and if something goes wrong, I can handle it. That shift lowers stress hormones. Lower stress means clearer thinking. Clearer thinking means better financial decisions. Now compare that to 50,000. Yes, 50,000 gives you options. But if you already feel stable at 5,000, going from 5 to 50 doesn't change your daily nervous system state nearly as dramatically. This is called diminishing marginal utility. The first sip of water when you're dehydrated feels incredible. The 20th sip, normal. The first 5,000 removes existential anxiety. The next 45,000 mostly increases flexibility. And this is why someone making $150,000 a year can still feel financially stressed if they never built stability first. Now you might be thinking, obviously 50,000 is better. Of course it is. But psychologically, the jump from 0 to 5 feels life-changing. The jump from 45 to 50, barely noticeable. Here's what most people don't realize. The first 5,000 doesn't just protect you. It changes your identity. When you have no savings, you see yourself as someone bad with money. When you hit 5,000, you become someone who can delay gratification, someone who can follow a plan, someone who can build something steadily, and identity drives behavior more than math ever will. Let me explain. Imagine investing $500 per month at a 7% average return. After 10 years, that's around $85,000. But if every year you have to withdraw $2,000 for emergencies, compounding gets interrupted, and compounding hates interruptions. The first 5,000 protects your future investments from being rated. It protects momentum, and momentum is everything. This is where it gets really interesting. When people finally hit their first real savings milestone, they don't describe it as excitement. They describe it as quiet. The mental noise lowers. They stop obsessively checking their accounts. They stop fearing unknown expenses. Financial stability doesn't feel flashy. It feels boring, and boring is powerful. Now you might be thinking, I can barely pay my bills. 5,000 feels impossible. I understand that, but 5,000 isn't built in one leap. It's built in repetition. Save $100 per week. That's over 5,000 in a year. $50 per week, about $2,600 per year. $15 per day, roughly $5,400 per year. This isn't about dramatic income jumps. It's about consistent behavior. And if your income truly isn't enough right now, then the first move may be increasing income strategically. But the target stays the same. Not 50,000, 5,000. Here's a simple plan. Step 1, calculate 1 month of bare minimum expenses, multiply by 2. That's your stability number. Step 2, automate savings on payday, even if it's small. Automation removes emotion. Step 3, protect that money aggressively, not for vacations, not for gifts, not for impulse upgrades. This is psychological armor. Step 4, once you hit 5,000, then begin scaling investments consistently. But stability first, because here's the deeper truth. The first 5,000 proves something to you. It proves you can change. And once you prove that to yourself, your entire relationship with money shifts. You stop chasing income for validation. You start building wealth for security. And that internal shift is more powerful than any salary increase. So here's your challenge. If you don't have 5,000 saved yet, make that your singular financial focus. Not trading, not crypto, not complicated strategies. Stability first, because once your brain feels safe, everything else becomes easier. And if this shifted how you think about money, subscribe, because we're not here for hype. We're here to build minds that think long term. And I will see you on the next one.